Fellow tennis nerds, I hope all is well. Long time no pro player video. So what you're gonna see in this video is Zverev's possible new racket, but also about Tiafoe's possible new shoe sponsor, New Balance. So stick around. And there's no better time than now in the off season when they actually have a little bit of time to try new things. Changes are not only for rackets, maybe there could be strings, maybe there could be some shoe updates, maybe there could be coaching update, which maybe is the most significant in this forum. You can follow all kind of news like coaching updates, doping updates, which is now a pretty hot topic on tennisnerd.net, of course, so check back to that website as often as you can. Don't take this too seriously. I'm just musing a little bit about what the pros could do. I don't know anything really, but I thought it could be an interesting topic for a video, and I'm keen to hear your opinions in the comments below. So let me know what you think about 2025 predictions, ATP Tour. If you want more of these videos, I can do one for the WTA, and we can go further down the rankings as well. I focus mainly on ATP Top 20 in this video. We've already seen some interesting coaching contracts signed. I will mention a few in this video. The first one we have to mention is that Djokovic will work with Andy Murray until the end of the Australian Open 2025. So at least a month of work together. Maybe they start now in the off season. Keen to see what Andy can bring. This is a fun thing for tennis. You have a former Grand Slam winner, former world #1, coaching another GOAT Grand Slam winner, #1. So this is a very interesting duo, and we'll see what he can bring. I think it's a great move by Djokovic. He's a very smart guy. He knows what to do to bring out that little extra. Now maybe he just goes for like number 25 in terms of Grand Slam, and then he's happy. Who knows? But this looks like a masterstroke, because if there's one player that knows a lot about tennis on the tour and he has the analytical eye, I would say it's Andy Murray. So this could be interesting. In terms of other changes to Djokovic's game or setup, I don't think that's much to be talked about there. He is playing with kind of an old school racket in the PT346.1. I've made multiple videos of that one. Have it in my bag over there, his personal frame. It's a tough frame to use by modern standards, but these guys, they can generate power with anything. So in some cases, they do need more from the racket. But in Djokovic's case and his game style, I don't think that is what he's looking for. He already has done some tweaks over the years. His game is very much based on using the other player's pace and redirecting it and moving the way he does, which is like Spider-Man. So I don't see any racket changes in Djokovic's case, or any string changes. He should be pretty happy with his setup and focus on just getting maybe number 25. We'll see how much motivation he has beyond that. Curious to see though if Andy will raise some racket discussions in their team, because he did of course change to the Yonex E-Zone 100 and slapped as much weight as he had on the PT57A before on that racket, which maybe was not something I would have recommended. If you want to make that switch, you maybe should have a bit of a lower weight to benefit more from the racket, but that's what he did. So maybe now he's really into rackets. He did this process himself, as far as I'm aware. So maybe he will start some discussions with Novak, but I doubt it. #1 in the rankings, Jannik Sinner. Should he change something from his Head Speed MP, the Graphene Touch edition? He's played it with the same specs as far as I'm aware. Head Hawk Touch, strung at a pretty high tension, 28 kilos. Is it 61 pounds or something? Should he change something? No, I mean, he's #1 in the world. He has not lost many matches. If you're doing that well, you shouldn't really change anything. So nothing really to say there. But if we go to #2 in the current rankings, Alexander Zverev, a guy I really think can win a Grand Slam next year. He actually has played, according to sources, Tennis Warehouse, forums, the guy who knows a lot about head pro stocks, DR325i, has said that he's actually tried the Head Gravity Tour, the 100 square inch racket as well, but it's 22 millimeters instead of 20 millimeter beam thickness, which means you get a bit more pop on the ball naturally. And that is what he has tried for the last 3-4 tournaments, and he has played well. So maybe we will see some kind of minor racket change for Zverev. I don't know. As I said before, he's the one guy I know on tour who strings in hectos, like in terms of 100 grams. So we'll see if he keeps doing that for 2025. On a personal note, I would say that the Head Gravity Tour had a better feel on impact than the Gravity Pro. However, you're gonna get a bit better control with the Gravity Pro. The 20mm beam makes a big difference. If we look at Alcaraz, his elbow seems fine now. He's been playing up and down. I mean, his highest level, like he wins 2 slams, and we talk about a topsy-turvy year for him. That's how much we expect from Carlitos Alcaraz. But yeah, some results were a bit up and down. It's more of a shot selection thing, I would say. Like sometimes he seems to be a bit up and down. Maybe he plays too much for the crowd. Maybe he's too reliant on Ferrero's advice. But of course, coaching is allowed these days, so that is not maybe going to be a problem. But if Ferrero isn't there due to some reason, like last year he had some surgery and he wasn't there, and you could see how much that affected Carlitos. So he needs to really find a way to work on his on the situations on the court himself. And I don't think a racket change or adding weight or, you know, anything like that would make a difference, but definitely more like on a strategy basis, you know, trying to figure out how to solve his problems himself instead of relying too much on Ferrero would be my take on his situation. He has done a string change, as I talked about before, from the RPM Blast to the RPM Team. It's a tad softer. I tried them both, and I would say it's a very minor difference, but maybe a tad softer helps his elbow, gives him a bit more power. So that was the change that happened before Wimbledon 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Taylor Fritz had the best year in his career in 2024. Should he change anything? Not really. Like if you're playing on that level and you're having these results. People have asked me before, should he really play with this head IG radical MP? And he doesn't add a lot of weight to it. But looking at what he can generate with his wingspan, his technique, and I don't really see like how much of a difference if we would get a little bit more powerful racket. Maybe he starts missing, doesn't have maybe the feel that he really enjoys in the IG version. The IG Radicals, fan favorite among many tennis nerds, as most of you who watch this know. It would be fun to see him play with a more powerful racket, even a newer Radical MP, for example, customized to his specs, but I don't think he is really in need of anything, and changing stuff when you're doing really well is always a risk. So really nothing you can talk about there. Daniil Medvedev, he's been on and off. He's Racer soft hybrid setup, like gut, no gut. He complains about the balls. That's why he wants to add the gut to get a bit more power, because the balls go dead. And we know he plays kind of flat. He doesn't have like that massive power of like Alcaraz or Sinner to just kill a ball. But overall, it seems like it's not the equipment there. Maybe there's something mentally that he needs to work on. Maybe he needs to mix up his game a bit more. That would be my take on him. When you see him playing in situations like against Sinner in the Australian Open final, I think it was, started rushing the net a bit more. And I think that really seemed to work for him. He really seemed to shock Sinner. I think he won the first 2 sets, still lost the match, but that was a positive thing. So that's the thing I think he can do more instead of getting bogged down in these endless rallies. I think the players are so good these days that he should use the kind of chess sense he has about tennis. Like he's such a smart tennis player and can put so many different spins and awkward shots your way. I think that's what he should focus on more than the racket and the strings and a new coach, really. I don't have much to say about Casper Ruud, his extended DR100 Plus, the Politor Pro, the Politor Spin Hybrid. It all seems to be the same. He seems to be in a good space. He's getting married. He just got engaged to his girlfriend. It's not much to say. I don't think he has much more in terms of potential than he's already achieved. I might be wrong, but that's just my gut feeling. So there's not really much to recommend in terms of changes, in terms of coaching team or gear and stuff like that. Andrei Rublev, next in line, had a rough year, especially from a spectator standpoint. It was tough to see him play in 2025. I did struggle. Like, he seems to sometimes really hate himself on the tennis court, hate the game, and be really negative. And what you can recommend to him is to either to find a new coach that brings kind of like a new way of looking at tennis, but overall I think it's more of a mental health issue that is probably stemming somewhere from beyond the tennis court. What's happening on the tennis court is usually a reflection of what's going on in your life, and I think this is something he has to deal with outside the tennis court, and then he can bring his better game and get better results, because it's been a tough watch to watch Andrei Rublev in 2024, and he's a lovable guy. We want to see him do well, but this cannot keep on going, because I think he will like self-destruct really and lose all his love for tennis. So hopefully he finds a way to get out of that negative mindset for 2025. Alex de Minaur, great year. Now inside top 10, seems to be enjoying himself, his tennis, everything. Plays well with his team, 99, Blackstone 4G. No notes here. Like he's doing the best he can, I think, with what he has. So yeah, there's really nothing to say about de Minaur, but just keep going. And I would say the same about Grigor Dimitrov, who is enjoying himself on the court, plays great tennis, always dangerous to pretty much anyone, and has had some brilliant results in 2024, so just keep going. There's no real need to change anything. If we go outside the top 10, where we are now, we find Stefanos Tsitsipas. He has been trying a lot of like different string setups, some different racket tweaks, but I don't think the racket is the main issue here. It's more like finding a coaching situation where he's happy. And no Apostolos, his father is not there anymore as far as I'm aware. Maybe bringing in another coach, a new voice, someone to find some new strategies, new stuff to work on, and new pair of eyes really to his game, whether he has his father still there or not. Maybe sometimes it's good to have a family member there, sometimes it's really bad. But a new coach, I think, is more needed than a new racket. If you should try a new racket, I think getting some more power and maybe a bit more forgiving sweet spot on the one-hander sometimes. Steam 99 like de Minaur, maybe even an RF Pro. Bring something like that in, but overall I think it's more of a coaching situation than a racket situation in this case. Another player who struggled on and off in 2024 is Holger Rune. Coaching situation there again, on and off, Muratoglu, then not Muratoglu. It's not looked very, very stable on the court, off the court. Here we have more of an issue of like finding a stable situation where he can just relax and focus on his game and his results. And I think they will come because the guy has talent, obviously, and ready to fight. So just about finding some stability. A couple of dangerous players we have to mention that I think should be something to really watch out for other players in the draws in 2025 is Tommy Paul, who keeps going from strength to strength. Vicor 98. Very solid change from the blade there. Hugo Humbert had a great end to the year. And Jack Draper as well. Very dangerous players, all these guys. So if you see them in the draw, you should be a bit scared, I think. Hubert Hurkacz has signed a powerful coaching duo in 2025. Ivan Lendl, who obviously is a legend player himself, but also helped Andy Murray to great success. And Nicolas Massou, who is also a star coach with Dominic Thiem as his ex-pupil. So a very, very interesting duo to bring in. The big question is, can they work together? Can this be a good chemistry? That's going to be important, of course, when you have two coaches alongside each other. But maybe he finds a way of working with this. And Hubert seems like a pretty easygoing guy to work with. So it'll be interesting to see what that coaching dynamic can bring to his team and his results. If we get into coaches, we can get into Frances Tiafoe. Some question marks around his last year. The 2024 wasn't really a stellar year. By his standard, we know how well he can play, but then it's also a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of results. He stopped working with Wayne Ferreira and is now with Diego Amoyano. After that coaching change, we didn't see really like a positive trend in the results. Maybe this will happen this year. Interesting to hear your opinions about that. It's fun to watch Francis when he's playing well, but he's not really looked himself all the time in 2024. Some other players to comment on. Giovanni Impecci Pericard, exciting player. Can be a bit of a serve bot experience sometimes with his massive first serve, but still he has like a nice one-hander. He goes for his shots. Already won ATP 500. So this guy is ultra dangerous, like must be one of those like worst guys to get in the draw, right? Like you're seeing that I'm not gonna get in a rhythm. It's just gonna be a tough match. And he's also won tournaments on clay. So Alexei Popyrin won a Masters title, kind of out of nowhere, but we know he has potential. So we'll see if he can keep going and maybe grow and build on that success. 3 Czech players to keep your eyes on are Jiří Lehečka, Tomáš Machač, and Jakub Mensik. All 3 very aggressive, dangerous players, clean ball striking, that kind of Berdych style. Very nice to see them play, and yeah, they're gonna be able to do some excellent results, I think, for next year. I think that's all I had to comment on today. If you like videos like this and you want me to comment maybe further down in the rankings, I do know a lot about the different rackets of the players. You might know that from previous videos. And there's loads and loads of player profiles with racket information on tennisnerd.net. So if you go to the players tab there, you can find a lot of information. And we keep populating that with more. Sometimes on the WTA side, it's tougher to find information. So if you have and you want to share, please reach out via Instagram, tennisnerd Insta, or comment on the posts or on the website site. And now I'm excited about the Australian Open, about 2025. Already getting bored of not having tennis going on. in the background of our lives. So keen to get that going. But for now, we have to enjoy the holiday period and play some tennis ourselves. So have a nice day now, and don't forget to play some tennis.